Beautiful. Not usually a word that would be used to describe a boss fight in a game. Of course, plenty of fights are aesthetically pleasing, but usually words like intense or epic come to mind. You're put in this crazy looking arena with fierce music fighting some amalgamation like Gravity Roller Skating Horse or Mr. Handjobs.
In life, sometimes things are far worse than death. Handjobs.
You're doing your best to dodge out the plethora of death combos or one-shot moves while also finding time to hit them in between. So yeah, pretty intense situations. But sometimes you get a boss fight that feels completely different from the traditional mold. Unique mechanics, design, arena, just something sets it apart from the rest. Elden Ring has plenty of these instances, but there was one that stood out above the rest. This fight is what I can only describe as beautiful, perhaps the most beautiful fight of any game I've played, and it was from an optional boss. The Ancestor Spirit is a boss, well, technically two optional bosses that you can fight in the underground regions of Elden Ring. The Ancestor Spirit, considered a great enemy boss, is found in the Hallowhorn grounds within the Siofra Riverwell. To access this, head slightly northeast from the minor Erd Tree in Mistwood until you find an elevator. This elevator takes you into Siofra and you can explore from there. The other spirit, known as the Regal Ancestor Spirit, is a legend boss that can be accessed in the Hallowhorn grounds within Nokron, the Eternal City. Nokron only becomes fully available after defeating Skarsgård Radahn. The falling star in the cutscene will crash into the ground, west of Fort Height, and create an opening that you can descend down. Both bosses require you to traverse the underground cities and light obelisks to unlock the fight. Not really much is known about the lore of these underground cities. They do have some use for NPC questlines like of Ranni and Dee, but they're literally like Elden Ring's version of Atlantis. And what little is known about the areas of Siofra and Nokron, there is even less information about the Ancestor Spirits. If we have any Vadi Vidyas watching who have any info, please share it, because I'll probably sound like an idiot. I first looked to the Ancestor Followers, the main enemies you'll encounter in the area. The best information you can get is from the fur leggings armor they drop. The Ancestral Followers keep their distance from the Erd Tree, awaiting new buds. They are certain to sprout from their very flesh, and indeed, their souls. I was a bit confused on what it meant by buds sprouting. We can learn a bit more information though from the Ancestral Infant's head, an item found in the submerged ruins on the far side of Nokron. The item reads, Skull of a very young Ancestral Spirit. Just think how many sproutings it might bear. I could be completely wrong, but it sounds like the lore is saying that Ancestor Spirits and Followers' souls are the source for new Erd Tree buds, or just life in general. Am I wrong? I'm probably wrong. Let's now look to the bosses. The normal Ancestor Spirit doesn't give us much information, just that a glowing spirit takes the form of a large deer. However, we get some lore after beating the Regal Ancestor Spirit and obtaining the remembrance of the Regal Ancestor. The description of the remembrance reads, Ancestral spirits exist as a phenomenon beyond the purview of the Erd Tree. Life sprouts from death, as it does from birth. Such is the way of living. With this info, it seems that these spirits are just an entity beyond comprehension of anything else related in the game. They exist hidden from the world above ground and work in mysterious ways. It would be awesome if they had some story-related lore, but that's not what brought me to love these fights. But why would it be? The thing about the Ancestor Spirit fights is they aren't particularly difficult. Actually, I'd say they're pretty easy, but the experience of the fight is truly something incredible. First off, seeing the husk of the deer come to life after lighting the obelisks is a sight to behold. Fighting that spirit within the Hallowhorn grounds would be a pretty sick arena already, but instead we are teleported. We come out in an underground cave. It's very quiet, almost peaceful. Going through the boss fog brings us into this vast room. It's foggy, the ground is littered with bones and patches of water, and we can see the spirit way off in the distance. Then, the OST starts. I am not lying when I say this is my favorite OST for any boss fight. It is that fucking good. And it's completely different from anything I've heard. Instead of the standard orchestral tunes we're used to hearing with Souls games, we have a beautiful arrangement that includes traditional native instruments. Strings, flutes, rain sticks, and what even appears to be a didgeridoo.
That's the didgeridoo who still owes me money.
And the tempo of that music completely surprised me. It's very slow with a lot of breaks that gives off this calming, ethereal feeling. I genuinely questioned myself after listening, like, shit, maybe I shouldn't fight this thing. There is a gradual build-up where the song eventually becomes more intense, but it never loses that initial identity. It's honestly a masterclass in music, so make sure to watch till the end to see the boss fight in its entirety. Next, we move on to the fight itself. Yes, this is a spirit-possessed deer that is actively trying to murder us, but I never really felt danger. I was more so mesmerized by the movements of the creature. galloping through the air, spraying its cyan-colored fire was truly a sight to behold. The colors glistening and some of the sound effects further added to the overall beauty. You know, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a difficult fight. The Ancestor Spirit has like 5 or 6 moves, and all are pretty predictable. The Regal fight will take you longer, but that's only because it has a couple other moves and one that actually heals it. So after defeating both bosses, when all was said and done, I felt like a piece of shit. I just killed pretty spirit deer, and now I don't get to listen to the OST for the rest of the run. It's a truly depressing situation. I wish I could talk more about the boss, but you know, that's pretty much it. Optional bosses don't usually get that much attention, and while these fights really have nothing to do with the story, I still feel great care was taken to make them some of the best experiences in Elden Ring. I'm still on my first playthrough of the game. I'm really fucking slow on first playthroughs, but expect a full review and some other videos of the game in the future. If you did enjoy this, be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. But you know what? You don't care about that. Let's get to the fight.